Well, we are here today near Ferndale, which you can see in the background, and we're here for an exciting reason. We are going to meet with Owen Griffiths, who is the minister at Carmel Church, and they have asked about joining South Wales Baptist Association. So today we're going to meet with them and hear a little bit more about the church and what they are doing.
Well, we're in many ways a very typical Valleys church. We're quite small, so throughout the 20 years we've never grown more than, congregation of about 40. At the moment I would put us around about mid-20s in terms of the size of the congregation. Quite a young church, I guess, relatively speaking, so a lot of our average age, I guess, would be around about 40, in the 40s, somewhere like that. So that's a little bit different from many Valleys churches, I suppose. But we're also a very passionate church, passionate about our locality, passionate about Valleys in particular, and for that reason we try to engage with the community in many different ways. We set up a counselling service here in the Upper Ferndale and Blaenllechau, and so for that time we've been doing one-to-one counselling with people. Mental health is a massive problem all over, I guess, especially here in the valleys where there is a great deal of poverty as well. And so we've been running that for 12 years, not just doing one-to-one counselling, but also giving training to people on mental health issues within the community. In addition to that, I mentioned poverty. During lockdown in January 2020, we set up Carmel Community Clothing, which operates like a food bank, but with clothes. And so since then we've been giving out free clothes to people in need throughout Ferndale and Blaenllechau, and actually beyond that we've helped hospitals here in Ferndale and Blaenllechau, but also in the in Bevan Health Board as well. And through that work we've probably helped around about 500 people in the less than 2 years that we've been running this. Yeah.
That sounds amazing. And Owen, you as a church, you want to come and be part of South Wales Baptist Association, which is absolutely great. Could you tell us a little bit about why? Why do you want to be part of the association?
For the whole time that I've been here, we have been an independent church. We've had loose associations with other congregations, but we just feel that is not quite fitting with what Scripture teaches about church, and also it's unsustainable. We need fellowship. We need to be to express the unity that exists within the whole church, and we need therefore to be connected to other congregations, to the wider church, and for that to be established in a formal way. And for that reason, as a church, we came to the decision. We talked about it for many years, but we eventually came to the decision that we would apply for membership, and you are graciously considering that. So thank you.
Well, that's great. And so just one other question, with all the things that are going on at the minute, God is at work. What kind of things are exciting you at this time about what you're seeing God doing?
Coming out of the pandemic, we, as everybody would, realised that we were in a very different environment. And I guess that's exemplified by the clothing work that we are doing. That it wasn't on our minds before the pandemic. Suddenly it's a major element of what the church is about, and it would seem that the Spirit has led us into that and is leading us to grow this church. So there's a lot of interest in the clothing work from other bodies, so the housing associations want to partner with us. I had a meeting last week with Cardiff Rugby, who want to, on a regular basis, collect clothes from their supporters and donate it to us. So the potential there is quite, I hope you understand when I say this, it's quite exciting. But at the same time, it's very heartbreaking because we are dealing with a huge problem of poverty. This area behind me now, it has a child poverty rate of 40%, which is heartbreaking. It's just, and we encounter that on a weekly basis here through this work. But it is exciting to be a part of God's answer to that problem, or at least a way of dealing with the symptoms of poverty. We're not fooling ourselves into thinking that we're dealing with the causes of it in this. Another thing that's really exciting at the moment, we've recently started a new outreach on a Sunday evening. We can no longer use our chapel, as you will soon see when you go in. And so we use a community centre over in Ferndale behind me. and on a Sunday evening we just started getting together a small group to talk about various themes and ideas, and we've had new people from the village come into that, and a real sense of community is starting to develop through that work, and it has the feel of new work being established here in the Upper Ferndale.
And so you said that you can't use the chapel for normal meetings.
No.
Can you take us in and show us a little bit about what's going on with
I'd love
the
to.
clothing bank? Thank you.
It all started as a one-off venture that we did. It was something called you remember the swap shop? We did it as a sharing shop. So we did this one day event in Treforest Community Centre where we invited the whole community to come in, and everything was free. So we clothes, household goods, everything, and it worked really, really well. But then we noticed there was a few people that came, you could see they had a genuine need, you know, they were referred there by their support worker, and we thought, even though it was great, originally we wanted to try and get more involved with a wider community. So it's all about sort of getting known to the community, our church, where we were at, wasn't it? But I think as well, it sort of sparked this other curiosity in us then, as to see that there was actual people in need, that, especially clothing. So it kind of sparked from there, that event really. So we all got together, and it was just sort of came the idea of a clothes bank. We didn't really know how we were going to do it. There were just a few of us, and there's just not a huge amount of volunteers, so they all work really, really hard. So it's just a very, very rewarding task to do. It can be labour intensive. It does take a lot of commitment, but you do get a lot back from it really.
We're trying to relieve child poverty with clothes. And with mental health. When people can't come home from hospital, they can't be discharged because they don't have any clothing to take home with them. So we've given kind of bulk orders then.
It is a massive responsibility to pick clothes for other people. It's a very individual thing, isn't it? And your identity is through your clothes that you wear. So they kind of trust in us, really. Massive trust in picking clothes that they would wear. So it's a big responsibility. Yeah, but a lot of, the majority of the time they're really pleased with what they get. So that's a good thing. Yeah.
We find that we're particularly touched often by the ladies who go into women's refuge, especially when they're older ladies, maybe in their 60s, and it's awful that you think at that age you've got to flee from domestic abuse. And also when there are young ladies with little children, and they get in touch with us and they say, we've got a mother and 2 children, whatever, they've had to flee, and they've got nothing. So, you've got to think then the little children, they got no clothes, they got no toys, they haven't got anything. So they do touch us a lot, and we do have some lovely testimonies back, from one young man who contacted us to say that we've made him feel human again. He hadn't felt human for a long time, and it's really touching. We had a lovely testimony from the Women's Refuge about all the help that we give to them. And some just phone up and they're just so grateful, so thankful. And they're waiting for you to come, because of course a lot of the young men are in hotels, Three Saints in Lantrisant, and Scott's Diner, different places in Annecia. There's a hotel where they are. There's the Grange in Pontypridd. They've got young boys from 16, and they had one a while ago that they found on the mountain, and that was particularly touching as well, when you think it could be one of ours, and they've got nothing. So it is hard. It is really hard.